Hello, my name is Jeremy Byers. I'm the Vacutech product manager, and I'm here with John Tucker, the president of Vacutech. John, why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jeremy. My name is John Tucker. I'm president of Vacutech Corporation and have been overseeing the vacuum division of the NCS family now for 5 years, 6 years, but in the vacuum business for almost most of my life. And just thrilled with the industry and what we do and what we're doing today.
How did Vacutech get its start?
It started, originally started in this portion of this design of Vacutech started in 1997 when we got involved in industrial commercial vacuum and large, what we call centrifugal blowers or large turbines that we produce today. And my brother Tom actually started it in 97 and in a small facility in California, in the San Diego area, and grew from there. And in 2003, I joined with them and then moved the facility, the manufacturing and the whole operation to Denver, Colorado, where we started growing the car wash side of the business in Denver.
Okay. What innovations brought you into the car wash industry?
Primarily, the innovations were to have the car wash industry started evolving into what we call express washes today, which are multiple parking areas where we would provide and produce a vacuum plaza where the car would go through the car wash and be washed, and then you would drive out of that and park in a vacuum bay and get out of your car and be able to vacuum your own car out, and then you would be done and move on down the way. And it started out with the car washes running around $3 to $5, and the addition of the vacuum, as in those days was, and it even is today, referred to as a free vacuum system, where in reality it's priced into the price of the car wash. But to advertise it as free vacuum and for customers to come in and then to give them a tremendous experience with the vacuum because they got to put it in their own hands and do their own work. It really catapulted the car wash industry, where the customer could now vacuum their own car. Ladies especially preferred not to have people in their cars, and they enjoyed the opportunity to vacuum their own cars. And that just catapulted the car wash industry with express car washes. And they went away from the drive-in bay where you would pull in and wash the car with a wand and shoot your car and shoot your shoes and everything else to get your car washed, and then have to pull it out and try and dry it and everything else. With the innovation of the express car wash, where you stay in the car and it mechanically pulls you through the car wash tunnel, washes the car, then you get to come out and pull into a vacuum plaza and vacuum your own car. That catapulted the industry to where it is today.
Yeah. So the arch design that Vacutech is well known for, how did that come about?
That's an interesting story. A good friend of mine, Wesley Dawson, was with Big Man Development down in Texas, was working on a project for Octopus Car Wash with the Jerkins family. And we were together asked to develop a vacuum system that ergonomically fit better into the industry for the actual person who's using the vacuum, and how when the car pulled out of the vacuum or pulled out of the car wash, they could go around to the plaza and then get out of their car and make it easy. So when the doors were open, you could have the hose back behind the car, and it would pull into the doors, and the people could vacuum their own car washes out. Before that, the hoses were actually put on pedestals in front of the car, and people would have to go get a 20-foot hose to pull it back and go into their cars, and they go into their trunks, and then they got 20 feet of hose sitting there. And when they're all done, it wasn't the easiest thing to put back on the rack and drive out. So we had a lot of problems with hoses being torn off or run over or whatever, and it was very inconvenient. So the design of the arch now made it ergonomically so that you had a pedestal in the front, but then the arm of the arch would come out, and the vacuum was produced through the entire arm, and then the hose, and then went back to the front of the car. And so when you drove in, the hose was just sitting there draped, and you could go grab that hose, and we used claws in those days, and then you would go in your car and vacuum it all out. Then there was a place for them to put the hose back. They didn't have to coil it up or anything. It happened automatically in a sense, and people were able to hang it back up and drive out. And it's interesting, the first arch system that we did was done in Durango, Colorado for Octopus Car Wash. The second one we did was for a company in Texas, in the Dallas-Arlington area. And it just, from then on, it just exploded. And we were the only company that produced arches for about 5 years. And then it all of a sudden caught on, and then other companies started producing a derivative of what we had produced. Meanwhile, we continue to grow and design different arches to where we are today, where we have significant arches just for specific customers, and then we have approximately 7 to 9 other arches that are available for people that just want to design arches. And the arches have developed over the years into, originally it was a big curved arch, and then it became a longer arch that went out further. So in sunny areas, you could cover the car more. But the arch has been truly innovation. And now when people drive down the street and they see the arches, they know it's a car wash. You don't even have to see a sign car wash. The paradigm has shifted, and people know now what a car wash is and what it does when they see the arches.
Yeah, they are excellent advertisement, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's just tremendous.
So speaking on innovation, Vacutech's been focusing a lot on improving the designs of our products and making them more energy efficient for customers and owner-operators. This was driven by many things, the desire for our customers to cut costs, and then the ESG initiatives. What is Vacutech doing now to bring something to the market that is going to cut energy costs for customers?
I think it goes back to the original designs of the turbines. You know, these turbines that we use today, they were originally designed back in the early 1900s, back in 1905, 1910, something like that. In fact, the Hotel Del in Coronado has a built-in vacuum system in it, and it has the industrial turbines like we use today. A lot different looking today, a lot more powerful, a lot different engineering has come along over the years. But as the turbine originally was invented, and then it grew in popularity because you could have one central large turbine, and you could run piping throughout buildings or car washes, or depending on what the function was for. You could by hooking up the turbine to a set of piping, you could literally decrease the amount of pressure in that piping, and you could direct that differential pressure or vacuum to different parts of buildings or facilities or parking lots or whatever. And what happened was, by doing that and then perfecting the turbine, doing additional designs on the turbine, from multi-stage. Originally, they were multi-stage, single diameter turbine, the actual turbine itself, the impeller, and they were just, you just stack them on there to get more vacuum pressure or whatever, and then that became more cumbersome and harder to maintain, harder to keep lubricated, so on and so forth. So we designed a direct drive unit where we increased the size of the impeller and we were able to put fewer impellers on, but made them a different diameter, and we could get greater differential pressure and greater CFM, believe it or not. And so we continue to do that. One of my big thoughts going into this when I was young and involved in my vision was to eventually have a turbine that was so simple and so easy and produce the best vacuum, and which is the amount of differential pressure and CFM that anybody on the market could use. And we've done that today. But the importance of the vacuum is important, but in the past few years, energy has become a big issue in our country and other countries. And so while redesigning the turbine into the turbine we have today, the T-Force turbine, we integrated additional electrical savings by having a larger turbine diameter, but we're down now to, we have one impeller instead of 7 or 8 impellers, and we can produce more cubic feet of air per minute and more differential pressure or more vacuum than we've ever been able to do before. And so the energy was important because we wanted to be able to help people to save a cost of running these things, as well as having a greater pressure and greater, what everybody refers to as suction.
Mm-hmm. So you touched on a little bit, the T-Force is the new design that we have. What benefits are we really bringing to the owner-operators and the end users with this new unit?
Oh, it's an incredible new product. It is functionally, design-wise, I'm pretty proud of the design of it. I think it's a really cool looking unit. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, it is cool. Mm-hmm. It stays cooler than any other turbine anywhere in the industry. Mm-hmm. It produces more differential pressure and cubic feet of air per minute than a like horsepower. So you can actually use a lower horsepower unit to produce the same CFM and differential pressure that we do today with larger motors. So we're able to do that. Plus we simplified it. It's simplified in such a way that you can tear it down and rebuild it and repair it in the matter of a couple hours. And today, what you have to do to repair a turbine is basically you have to package it up and send it back to the factory and get it repaired back at the factory, and there's a lot of expense to it. And now what we've done with this new design with T-Force is we have a more energy efficient, more vacuum producing unit, so taking less horsepower and everything, but giving more vacuum and more differential pressure to the people that actually use that vacuum, with a lower size motor for better economics in cost.
So the end user is still going to get very good vacuum quality while we're saving the owner operator money by running a smaller horsepower motor.
Yep, it gives a tremendous amount of differential pressure and vacuum. Just, as the old saying says, more suck for the buck. So that's what we're giving the customer. And that's the key to what we do. Mm-hmm. The responsibility that we have as a company, and what Vacutech has looked for, is to produce best products of high quality, make them available for the mass car wash industry, and that's our responsibility to the owners of the car washes. But ultimately, our responsibility, ourselves as well as the owners of the car washes, is to give the customer a good experience with the vacuum. Many times, I've personally gone on to sites where we've installed vacuum systems, and I've actually gone over and asked to help people vacuum out their cars. Mm-hmm. And the comments you get back is, I wished I had one of these at my house that had this much vacuum, this much suction. Mm-hmm. And these things are so quiet and they're so much smoother and so on and so forth. So when you get your customer to say that to you, the ultimate customer, which is our customer's customer, Once you get that, then you are you're hitting in the ballpark. You're hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and that's what we look to do. We look to please the customer, the ultimate customer, which is the person vacuuming their car. That's the key.
Well, you've touched on a few things that the T-Force brings to the market as far as improvements over competitors. Power efficiency, performance. You touched on lifespan, on bearing life. So we're expecting improved bearing life because this unit runs significantly cooler.
Absolutely, because it runs cooler, you get a greater bearing life, and because you don't have that great big extended shaft that you have to spin with additional bearings. This unit runs only on 2 bearings, which is with the bearings in the motor. And with the single impeller now, it runs so much cooler than we've ever had before. So we expect the bearing life to extend 3 to 4 times what we have today.
Now, with the simplicity in the design, this allows our customers to do on-site repairs instead of having to send this unit back to us.
Yes, it's amazing that if you want a backup unit today, really all you have to do is have an additional motor and an impeller. And if you had a problem with a bearing, whatever, you can pull this unit apart within an hour to 2 hours and put it back together with a new motor on it or whatever, and you're back in business. You don't have to package it up, put it on a crate, call a freight company, have them come pick it up, call the factory, have them ship you another unit. You'll be able to repair them right in the field.
Yeah, it reduces downtime and cost of repairs.
Exactly, exactly. That was one of the big keys to this design. Very important.
Fantastic. So going back to performance, we have the performance meter made by Vacutech on the desk here. Why don't you explain to me a little bit why we developed this and how it's going to benefit our customers?
I think it's really important. The performance meter is it's the newest, most important unit in the industry for taking vacuum forward. Not only is the T-Force turbine important in that, there are so many other things that come into play on a vacuum system, and a T-Force turbine is just part of it. In order to know whether that system is operating properly, because you're taking the turbine and you're hooking it up to a filter bag system where all the debris gets, quote, sucked into, and then you have piping, and then you have hoses, and all the different units that you have that you use for the vacuum experience for the customer and the system. We design our system so they run at approximately 5 inches of differential pressure or 5 inches of suction pressure at approximately 100 cubic feet of air per minute, 100 to 120, depending on the style of the turbine, the style of the system. In the past, all we've been able to do is measure the actual suction, the pressure side of it. But with the new performance meter, with the flow meter in it, we can now measure the pressure by closing off the orifice in the front, and we actually can read the pressure. We have integrals in here for red, green, and yellow to tell you whether you're in the proper pressure readings.
Yep.
And so we have those on the gauge for both pressure and CFM. We never had that before.
Yep.
And you can have all the pressure in the world, but you don't have enough flow or enough cubic feet of air per minute to run through the system. Because believe it or not, it isn't the suction where you put the vacuum hose on your hand and you feel that suction. That's not what cleans the car. And that's not what moves the debris. What cleans the car and moves the debris is the airflow, the cubic feet of air, the atmosphere flowing in, trying to equalize that turbine back to whatever the differential pressure is on that day. So if you have a day of 30.00 inches of mercury, mercury pressure, then the turbine simply works, it reduces the barometric pressure inside of itself, and then inside of the filter, inside the piping. And what happens is, when you pull that nozzle off to go vacuum your car, what you're literally doing is allowing the cubic feet of air per minute to come in to try and equalize that turbine back to zero, or back to whatever the given ambient pressure is for the day. And what moves the debris is not the pressure, it's the air flowing in.
Yeah.
So you're really not sucking anything. You're just creating a different pressure inside the system than the atmospheric outside, and the air is rushing in. So literally, it's pushing the debris through the system. And you have to have a way of measuring that so that you can tell the difference between one system design and another system's design. And with the perfection of this meter, we're now able to do that and define both pressure and cubic feet of air per minute, or the flow going through the system. Extremely important.
We've never been able to measure cubic feet per minute in a simple way on site.
No.
And now it can be done.
Yeah, I've looked for this for 30, 40 years to try and have this, and now we have it. And it makes it much simpler, and the everyday maintenance person or owner can measure their own systems and know are they running at optimum pressures and optimum flow. So that's the importance of that meter.
It's going to be industry changing for sure.
It will be. Yeah, it absolutely should be. The people that have these systems, that spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars to put these systems in and millions of dollars to build these car washes, they should have the ability to know that what they just spent their money on is doing what they were told it would do.
Yep.
And it needs to be, it needs to come to the math of it all. And the math of it all is how much pressure, measurable, and how much cubic feet of air per minute, how much flow. It has to be measurable. People can tell you all day long that it's doing this or that, but if you can't measure it, how do you really know? How do you know you're really being told the truth? Well, and this takes the story out of it and brings it to the science of vacuum.
It's a fantastic innovation. So what do we have to look forward to in the future for Vacutech innovations?
Oh, I mean, the whole thing with the T-Force turbine, once it's brought to market, which will be very shortly here, I believe at the International Car Wash Association meeting, we're going to unveil it this year, and we'll have it there operating. We have them out on test sites now all over the country. And we're measuring those differences between the older style turbines and the new T-Force turbine. And we're measuring the cost to operate both. And all of that will be culminated and brought to the ICA, and we'll be able to start explaining to people how this whole system works and why it's a benefit to them. So that's going to be a tremendous thing. But we have other things. We have the ability now to monitor what the vacuum system is doing. We have systems and pressure switches and flow switches where we can tell whether the bags are being cleaned or not in the main separator that collects the debris. We can tell whether the heat on the turbine is getting to a point where we're wondering why is it getting so hot, and we can go look at it and try to figure that out before it fails. It's the same thing with vibration. If you've got a bearing starting to go out, you can feel that and see that vibration, and we're going to be able to do that. And we're going to be able to have it as simple as on your telephone, you'll be able to see that. And so those are innovations that are coming. Those will be announced here very soon in the next few weeks. We have new nozzles that make it easier for customers the ultimate customer to vacuum their car, and it makes it easier for the customer, our owner customers, to deliver that system and make it simpler for the customer to be able to grab it, the ultimate customer, and use it and then put it back and have it lock in and seal. And one of my big things is a vacuum system, if you hear a bunch of hissing and leaking, then you're wasting your money. It should be sealed and quiet so that you're getting the greatest pressure in CFM. And with these new tools, we're doing that. We're getting to the point now where you can drive onto a parking lot, pull into a vacuum stall, and you can't even hear anything, so you don't even know if it's running until you go over and pull the valve out. So that's getting encouraging to me. I think that anybody that's in any business, and especially someone that's been in the business as long as I have in this specific business, I think we have a responsibility to my life has always been focused on being the best at what you do. Not because you want to have a flashier car or a bigger boat or a bigger plane or something, but it's the service of being of an industry where you serve people. And isn't that what we all do in life every day? We should be serving one another. And so here's the opportunity for us to be the very best at serving a product to the industry. And that's what our focus is and has been for years. And that's what's helped us get to where we are today, where we're the household name in vacuum for car wash. All we do is car wash vacuum. We have 250 people every day, and all they do is build car wash vacuums out of Sheridan, Wyoming, and ship them nationally and internationally.
And all of the innovations are just to benefit our customers and their customers.
Exactly. That's why we do it. The better we can make their experience and the customer's experience over and over again, the better it is for everyone. And that drives income. And that's what we try to do. We try to be the best. How do we do it? You know how we really do it? We listen. We spend a lot of time listening to our customers, and our customers come to us with ideas. That's how the Arch started. A customer came to us and said, hey, can you give us something that's easier for us to give to the customers so they can vacuum their cars? And that's how the Arch got started. How many hoses can you run off of a vacuum system? It used to be referred to as drops. Well, I always used to say drops of what? It's not a matter of drops. It's a matter of how many cubic feet of air per minute at what differential pressure are you putting in the hands of the customer so they can vacuum their car out very quickly and be out of there and have a wonderful experience and ask you why they can't have one of them at their home. And they drive off, and the key to it is they come back for it. And the sad side of it is the people who don't use these systems, who buy different kinds of systems, and try to cut the cost for what they really need to be doing to supply the customer, they suffer because people will go to the stronger vacuum, believe it or not, in an area where there's car washes.
Well, John, this was an incredibly insightful interview, and I appreciate your time. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I thank you for the opportunity to do this and to explain who we are and what our motivations are and what we try to do every day. And anyone's welcome to call me, President of Vacutech, John Tucker, and I'll be more than happy to talk with them and try to explain further the methods and the things that we do, and be available for them to serve them and help them have a